How's it going, my guys, gals, non-binary pals, and nerds everywhere? Welcome back to Nerd Explosion, the weekly podcast where, based on a monthly theme, we nerd out about whatever we want. My name is Cameron, and Kate is not with me this week. She is currently working because she switched around her work schedule because she's taking the next 3 days off. Tomorrow, which will be Thursday, she is going up with her mom to help her sister set up for her sister's wedding. Her sister's getting married this Friday, and this Friday is when I'm going up because I don't need to help set anything up, so I'm going up the day of. But I figured since Kate switched around her schedule and she's not able to record, and she was cool with it, I was going to do a solo episode this week. And what is that episode going to be about, you may ask? Or you may not be asking? I don't know. I can't hear what you're saying. Unless I can. You might want to check that microphone in your phone. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I could see the FBI just knocking on my door and be like, "He admitted it! He spied on him! Get him!" Anyway, as I said in the previous episode, I'm making November Zelda month, Legend of Zelda month. We're talking about all things Legend of Zelda. And I had an idea of doing an episode on Twilight Princess because I did an episode way back, like 3 years ago, I think, on Legend of Zelda, on Twilight Princess. And it wasn't that great, so I wanted to redo it. But then the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what? I kind of want Kate on that episode because I feel like she can, provide some, better commentary to it and, make the episode better. So what I'm going to do instead today is I am going to do an episode on Zelda theories. There are a lot of fan theories from Legend of Zelda, and, I just kind of wanted to go over a bunch of them and do my opinions on them. But before we get into that, new episodes of this podcast come out every Saturday. You should know it by now, but in case you don't know it, you can go in the link tree in the description. You can find different wherever you're listening to this on, click the notification bell, go in the description in the link tree, find socials. I post about it all the time, unless I forget because I have ADHD. But just, do all the things and do all the stuff. But with that being said, let's get into some Legend of Zelda fan theories. Alright, so to make this interesting, I just looked up Zelda fan theories, and I might look at another source too, but the very first thing that came up for me is an article from thegamer.com, which I have my own issues with them. Like them and Screen Rant, they do the bare minimum and call themselves, great journalists, but either way, I figured this is a good place to start because it being the Gamer, I know they have a lot of theories that either aren't actually theories or theories that they have shit opinions on that I could be like, actually. But anyway, let's get into 25 Legend of Zelda fan theories we can't believe are true. For some reason, they put the "we can't believe are true" in parentheses. I mean, you could have just left out the parentheses. Zoe Norman, who wrote this on January 17th, 2019. So, I mean, obviously, this is way before. Well, wait, was Breath of the Wild? When did Breath of the Wild come out? Hold on, I'm gonna sidetrack. When did Breath of the Wild come out? Let's see. Come on, search bar. Breath of the Wild. So, I hate the iPhone keyboard. I tried to type out Breath of the Wild, and it gave me Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild. Okay. Anyway, Legend of Zelda, when it came out? 2017. Okay, so Breath of the Wild was already out when this came out. I'm trying to think what other Zelda games had not come out by this time. Just obviously the newer Zelda games. We have Tears of the Kingdom and we have Echoes of Wisdom coming out. Anyway, let's get into this article, shall we? A lot of the stuff I was talking about is just not that important. Okay, so the first one they have on here is the Interlopers, which is from that creepy scene in Twilight Princess where one of the spring spirits is telling Link about like the history of like the Triforce and everything, and how the few shadows, and the interlopers wanted that power for themselves. But then the light spirits were just like, no, you can't have it. And the interlopers were like, oh, dang it. Let's go gambling. Oh, dang it. So to read off this theory has a few layers to it. The first layer is the fact that the interlopers are alluded to in Majora's Mask could be a version of the Ancient Ones / related to the Twilight race. This theory states that whoever these people may be might be the ones who created Majora's Mask. This creation could be the reason as to why they were banished to the Twilight Realm in the first place. I don't know about you, but I think that creating such a thing might warrant such extreme levels of punishment. So is the theory that the interlopers that they were talking about in Twilight Princess are also responsible for creating Majora's Mask? And I mean, I don't know much about that theory, but it's one I could definitely see, because obviously Majora's Mask in the Zelda timeline, Twilight Princess follows after Majora's Mask in the hero is triumphant child timeline. Because, again, like we explained in the last episode, the Zelda timeline is weird. And from Ocarina of Time, it splits off into 3. Because there's the 2 that come off when the hero is triumphant, both the child era and the adult era. And then there's a timeline if Link is defeated by Ganon, which leads you to like the original Zelda and all that. But the one we're talking about is after Ocarina of Time is Majora's Mask. And then after Majora's Mask, eventually we get to the events of Twilight Princess. So, as far as the theory that the interlopers are also the ones that created Majora's Mask, I don't necessarily fully believe it, but it's definitely possible considering they're in the same timeline. Next theory, the fourth piece. This looks like it's possible, like the middle of the Triforce is the actual mysterious fourth piece of it. Now, I don't know about you, but this theory is fascinating to me. This theory states that there may be a secret fourth piece of the Triforce. If this theory is true, but you might have to start calling it the Quad Force or the Tetra Force. This theory states that the little triangular-shaped hole in the middle of the Triforce was once home to a fourth piece, and that it will be found eventually, while others believe it was lost to time. Many have speculated over what the piece would symbolize. Nah, I'm not willing to believe it, because obviously it's just supposed to be the 3 triangles in the Triforce are supposed to represent each of the goddesses, Din, Furor, and Nehru, who basically created the world when they left to the heavens. I think that's explained in pretty much almost every Zelda game, definitely in Ocarina of Time. Furor, Din, and Nehru are the golden goddesses that created the land, and when they went to the heavens, they left behind the Triforce. So, that theory, nope. I don't believe that one. Nope. You're not gonna fool me with that one, Jim Bob. Next theory we got on here is soul-filled masks. This theory states that each and every mask that exists within the Majora's Mask game actually contains a piece of a lost soul trapped within it. This theory goes with the 5 stages of grief theory mentioned later in this article, as it states that those who were unable to make it through the stages found themselves trapped within the mask forever. When Link wears the mask, he is temporarily possessed by the soul trapped within the mask, who helps him accomplish his task. That actually might have some credence behind it, because, I mean, it's very on par with the theme of Majora's Mask, that a lot of souls could be trapped in all the masks that you come across. Because I know it's for sure the ones in the Deku mask, the Dora mask, and the Zora mask, because those are masks that are representative of souls, souls of the respective race who have died, basically. Like the Deku Strub is the Deku Butler's son, the Doron is the spirit of Darunia, and the Zora is, I forget the Zora's name, but it's like somebody's husband, like one of the Zoras who died. So the fact that all the other masks could have souls trapped in them I'm willing to be on board with that. I did get behind that one, so that's gonna be an A plus for me, or not exactly A plus, like a B plus, C plus. Let's see, 22, the three wielders. Okay, first of all, before I read this, I just want to state that the little picture here, they have Link in Breath of the Wild wielding a Keyblade from Kingdom Hearts. And so I've seen a lot of, like, obviously being a huge fan of Legend of Zelda and a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts, very rarely do I see like crossover content. Like just the other day in my YouTube recommended, somebody, I forget their name, so I apologize, but if I find it, I'll put a link in the description. But somebody created a version of Zelda's Lullaby that was styled like Dearly Beloved. Like, you know how the opening, like the main menu of Kingdom Hearts, somebody took that but made it Zelda's Lullaby. So it's basically if Legend of Zelda had a Kingdom Hearts style main menu, you know? But yeah, literally this picture that just pops up is just linked with a Keyblade. Let's see. One staple the Legend of Zelda series has... One staple of the Legend of Zelda series is that Zelda, Link, and Ganondorf always seem to find themselves pitted against each other in one form or another. There is a theory that attempts to explain this. The theory says that these three are reincarnated versions of the original three wielders. It is important to note that this theory is not that outlandish, as it has been confirmed that both Ganondorf and Zelda are the products of reincarnation, not as bizarre as it sounds. What? I don't understand this. Obviously, the spirit of the hero and the spirit of the goddess are passed down from generation to generation, and evil comes with it, because in Skyward Sword, Demise, after being defeated, curses Link and Zelda to be, followed by evil through each reincarnation of themselves. So that theory is debunked right from the get-go. Like literally there's like a logical and like in-game explanation for this. Like literally Demise, cursed the reincarnation of Curse's bloodline and cursed the reincarnations of Link and Zelda to always be followed by evil. And as far as Zelda and Link, the spirit of the goddess and the spirit of the hero follow down to different people, generation to generation. So that's where I explained that. So that theory is debunked. So I don't know. Get fucked, I guess. Next theory, we have origins of the hero shade. Now, I feel like they're gonna try to say some like weird thing, like, oh, maybe it's this, even though this has been like, the whole hero shade thing has been confirmed. But let's read this before I get into anything. Fun fact, this theory was confirmed by the release of Hyrule Historia. This theory explains that the hero Shade, who acts as a sort of mentor to Link in the game Twilight Princess, is actually an incarnation of Link himself. This theory states that the hero Shade is a combination of the child version of Link from both Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time, who was depressed over the idea that his life might end without him even being recognized as a hero, since he was unable to pass on his skills. Yeah, in Hyrule Historia, why? It's almost 7 o'clock at night. Why is somebody vacuuming in the hallway? Anyway, but yeah, this whole hero shade thing, it was confirmed in Hyrule Historia that the hero shade is Link from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and wasn't able to pass on his skills because he prematurely died. I believe he dies in the Lost Woods, but he comes to Twilight Princess Link and is like, "Hey, I want to pass down my skills. Learn these moves." Basically, all right. I had to do a quick edit there because I was like, "Okay, I gotta stop and wait for this person to stop vacuuming in the hallway." Because seriously, it's almost 7 o'clock at night or 7 o'clock in the afternoon as I'm recording this, and somebody's just like, "Oh, when's a good time to do this? Right now." So, like, as I'm talking, just zzz, zzz. But anyway, as I was saying about Hero Shade, yeah, it's officially confirmed by Nintendo themselves that the hero's shade is linked from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask. Let's move on to the next theory on here. The single link theory. I don't think I've heard this one. This theory states that there is only one link, just one, that the link that appears in each and every single Legend of Zelda game is the same link. Honestly, if that is true, then that poor lad cannot catch a single break. Every time he finally settles down, he has to get up off his bottom and save the world once again. By the third time, I'd lock my doors and let Hyrule fend for itself. This theory is supported by the idea of multiple timelines and time travel, which were introduced in Ocarina of Time. No. Bullshit. I'm calling bullshit. There is no way, like, it wouldn't make sense for there to be only one link. Especially, like, you know, we had the previously mentioned Hero Shade. If it's confirmed that the Hero Shade is linked from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, then why would every single link be the same link, you know? Like, it's just, it wouldn't make sense. Like, I don't know. That just doesn't make sense to me. But either way, I'm moving on. Number 19, Legend of the Uka. Now, the Uka is those weird bird things in Twilight Princess that you find in the dungeons, and you can actually use it as an item to warp outside the dungeon and then warp back to where you originally warped out. But there's a whole city of them, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, there are a few things as scary as these monstrosities. I mean, look at it. Yeah, they're not a joy to look at. Utterly spooky, and because of their odd, bizarre, and downright unsettling appearances, fans of all shapes and sizes have come up with dozens of theories in order to give some explanation as to what these creatures might be, or have been in another life. Some fans claim that these creatures were originally part of an advanced race that devolved into these bird-like creatures after their homeland was wiped out. Others believe that they were the pets that belonged to the people of this race. You know what? What kind of I believe with the Uka? I believe that they may have been some form of Rito. Like, you know, the bird people that are in, like, Wind Waker, Breath of the Wild. Just, I believe, because how it's supposed to be and how the Zelda timeline works is that the Rito were eventually devolved into the Rito eventually evolved into the Zora because they had to adapt to water. And I don't know if there's any credence to it, but what I'm going with is that Uka may have at one point been a form of the Rito people that just kind of devolved and got, you know, kind of Twilight Princified. I should say. You know, just kind of just looks trippy with everything else. That being said, though, now that I think about it, I would have loved to have the Rito pop up in Twilight Princess. That would have been awesome. But anyway, moving on with the next theory, Darkest Origins. Dark Link is in the house, but where did he come from? Oh no. No. Why did you say that? Nega Link? I'm not doing that. I'm saying Dark Link. Dark Link is spooky and relatively silent in each and every one of his appearances, and the combination of his constant appearance as well as his absent backstory has caused a lot of fans to fill in the blanks themselves. One theory has stated that Dark Link is actually demised from Skyward Sword due to the similarities in their design. Others claim that he is the physical manifestation of Link's guilt/conscience. I, on the other hand, and this might be the Kingdom Hearts fan in me, that it's Link's darkness. It's Link's Heartless that's coming out. Link, you have to close off your heart to the darkness. You have to see the light. It's too late now, Zelda. The Heartless obey me now. You're stupid! But my personal thing with Dark Link, and I don't think it has anything to do with really Ganon either. Ganon might have an influence. I don't know. It might tie back to the whole demise thing with the, you know, curse of evil upon the bloodline and everything. So, in some some instances that might form as, Link's own shadow trying to kill him, basically. At least that's what I'm willing to go with. Moving on to the next theory, I'm kind of just popping through these because I don't have much to say on some of these. Number 17, Inhuman Salesman. This eerie theory explains that the bizarre salesman, the happy mask salesman, who appears in Majora's Mask isn't exactly human. Many believe that he's either a ghost or the Grim Reaper himself. This theory is backed by both the 5 stages of grief and the Link is deceased theories, which will appear later in this article, and claim that the salesman is there to help you through your journey to the afterlife. Whether or not this theory is true, it is important to state that every single thing, especially the happy salesman, are literally some of the most spooky things I've ever seen. This theory I've seen a lot too. I've seen that the happy mask salesman in Majora's Mask is not actually human and more of like a Grim Reaper thing. Well, the Grim Reaper, obviously backed by the Link is dead theory, but I'm willing to believe that the happy mask salesman, like, nothing to do with the Link is dead theory because we kind of disproved that in the last episode. But I am also willing to believe that the happy mask salesman is indeed not human. Like, he has the appearance of a human, but I feel like even if he is human, he's got to have some kind of power. Like, there's got to be something about him. Like, we really never get too much of an explanation about him, but there's got to be something more to the happy mask salesman. So, yeah, I'm willing to believe he's not human. I'm willing to believe there's something more to him. Moving on, we got energized economy. This theory states that rupees, which can be seen and used throughout all of the games in the Legend of Zelda series, are actually units of energy rather than, an outright form of currency. The theory explains that the sheer amount of rupees that Link can carry around at one point would be physically impossible if they were actual gems. So some fans believe that these rupees exist as a unit of energy that can be transferred to other people in order to purchase items and services. I'm just picturing now, like, you in Land of Hyrule, like, you go into a market and like, I want to buy some Lon milk. Okay, that'll be 10 rupees. Oh, okay, hold on. Ah! There you go, 10 rupees. Oh, you're short 1 rupee. Oh, hold on. Ah! Okay, there you go. Have a nice day. Like, they just, all of a sudden, like, their eyes glow white for like 5 seconds just to transfer energy or something. But that is a good point. Like, if these were actual gems, like, how, and like, especially with like the size of them in the game, like, if they're genuinely that size or like they shrink down, like, how do people carry these things around? Like, how do people carry all these rupees around? That's my thing, but I don't know. Rupees are not, like, when I think of like stuff in the Zelda universe, whether rupees are energy or not is one thing I really don't think about. Next theory, play with the Skull Kids. This theory simply states that these slightly creepy, adorable, and bizarre Skull Kids, which appear in both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, are the same race/people. That is just a nice, lovely, and simple theory. No secretly deceased or inhuman characters, no cursed objects, no grief or lost metaphors. Simply a happy reunion of a few similar characters and familiar faces. It's nice and simple theories like this one that bring me true joy. More of these, please, and less of the "it was all a dream" ones. Thank you. So it's basically saying that there are multiple Skull Kids and they're all the same race and /people. Wow. It's almost like if a bunch of people look alike, that there might be some relation there might be some relation between them. Which, no, that kind of makes me think of like my own theory. What if there aren't multiple Skull Kids in like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, and it really is just the one? And he's able to, like, he has different powers to be able to teleport everywhere and make multiples of him and whatnot. What if there isn't multiple Skull Kids? What if there truly is just one Skull Kid? And, I mean, looking at this, like, in this article, they have artwork of Skull Kid holding Majora's Mask, where you see his actual face underneath, and it's just like a My bad, I bumped the mic. But it's just like a little ball with like beady eyes and a beak, so it's hard to tell what kind of race he is. But I don't know. My theory is that there could be multiple Stole Kids, and I just don't know what I'm talking about. But my personal theory is that there's just only one Stole Kid that just has like insane power. Moving on. Number 14, Link Defeated Timeline. For those of you who are not aware, the game Ocarina of Time established three main timelines. Link Defeated, where Ganondorf wins, Ganondorf is sealed, and Sacred Realm remains protected. This theory states that the entire Breath of the Wild game occurs within the Link Defeated timeline. This theory is backed up by the fact that Ganondorf exists in his Link Defeated form, or a version of that form, as the lore states that he gave up his mortal form in this timeline. I think I've thought on that before too. I've thought on that, and it's quite possible that that Breath of the Wild does fall into the Link Defeated timeline, because it's explained in Breath of the Wild that Ganon gave up his human form a long time ago. So, and like during the events of the Link Defeated timeline, Ganon is represented as like a beast monster, or like a pig monster in his beast form, basically. So basically, the human form of Ganon is long gone by the events of Breath of the Wild, but it still was notable at one point. So this theory I'm willing to believe. I'm willing to believe that Breath of the Wild is in the Link Defeated timeline. And from what I understand, Tears of the Kingdom, it's because I've seen a timeline where it adds Tears of the Kingdom, and basically explains that in Tears of the Kingdom, Zelda goes back in time to basically make one timeline the definitive timeline, and others just offshoots of other events that happened. And that's something I'll go about in another episode, maybe with Kat on, so she can make me sound less like an idiot. Number 13, we got Criminal Carpenters. I've said it before and I will say it again. Majora's Mask is one of the most spooky games ever created. I cannot believe that a team of developers sat down and decided that this hodgepodge of horrors was the perfect way to entertain children. There is a theory that states that the infamous mask was created by the villains from Twilight Princess. Didn't you already say that at the beginning of this article? Yeah, they're literally saying that the Majora's Mask was created by the interlopers from Twilight Princess, which is the first thing they said at the beginning of the article. So you're repeating yourself. Moving on. Number 12, Mask of Twilight. Fun fact, this theory was actually confirmed when Nintendo released the comprehensive guide to the Legend of Zelda lore entitled the Hyrule Historia. Note, I dropped this book on my foot once and it was outrageously painful. Don't care. This theory simply states that Twilight Princess exists as a sequel to... Oh my god. Really? That's a theory? Instead of being, confirmed? I mean, I suppose a lot of people didn't know what was a sequel to what before the Zelda timeline, and it wasn't until Hyrule Historia came out that people actually saw Nintendo put out a Zelda timeline, and they're like, oh, that's where this game goes. But this theory is basically people were like, is Twilight Princess a sequel to Majora's Mask? And Nintendo came out with this book that's basically like, yeah, it is. And everyone's like, oh, I knew it. My theory is correct. No, it's just Nintendo finally being like, okay, here, shut up. We know the answers. Moving on. Number 11. There's a theory that states that Ganondorf's actions caused the people of Hyrule to panic, and that panic resulted in each and every innocent member of the Gerudo being banished permanently. They do not appear in some later games. However, a similar race with a similar backstory describing a teen whose greed led to their downfall appears, and many fans have connected the two. This theory states that the banished Gerudo became what we know as the Twilight. That is an absurdly fascinating theory. That is an interesting theory. And I mean, I can get behind the idea that the Gerudo were I've said that like so many different times in the span of like 30 seconds, like Gerudo. I always say like Gerudo, or I tend to say Gerudo most of the time, but the fact that all the Gerudo were banished and separate from everyone else is a theory I can get behind, because obviously Ganondorf was birthed from the Gerudo, and everyone's just like, well, since he's bad, you're all bad, so get out of our faces. But the fact that the Gerudo would become the Twilight, now, I'm not willing to 100% believe that, but it would explain why the fact that there is Gerudo Valley in Twilight Princess, but yet no Gerudos to be had. That definitely could explain why, explain why the Twilight are the way they are. Or why, or what the Twilight are, basically. You know what I mean. Moving on. A game within a game. Nintendo is a major fan of Easter eggs and hiding references to their other games throughout the worlds and backgrounds of their products. Some fans noticed that several masks resembling characters from the Super Mario series could be found throughout the Majora's Mask game, and began to speculate whether they were simple Easter eggs or if they had another purpose. Some fans believe that these masks show that Super Mario is a play that is often performed in Hyrule, and that these masks were the costumes used. Well, yeah, that could be. Or maybe because they just were creating masks and one just happened to resemble Mario. That could be too. It's like, I like a lot of these series. I'm like, well, yeah, I can see where this is going, and then like theories like this where I'm just like, yeah, no, bullshit. Moving on. Number 9, an old man's secret. Now, it is important to state that this theory was confirmed after the release of the long-awaited game Breath of the Wild. However, when all we had was a trailer and our own imaginations, fans went buck wild trying to figure out the true identity of that mysterious old man. Everyone had a theory, but only one ended up being confirmed by the actual gameplay. It turns out that the correct theory was the one that stated that the mysterious old man was actually the King of Hyrule in disguise. His appearance is accompanied by a sped-up version of the castle theme. So it's saying that before Breath of the Wild came out, since we only had a trailer and we saw the old man in the trailer, people were theorizing that the old man was the King of Hyrule in disguise. And yeah, when Breath of the Wild came out, it turns out that the old man who basically guides you through the beginning of the game is actually the spirit of the King of Hyrule himself. So yeah, there's a theory confirmed right there. Next theory, the cliche dream one. Some theories are incredibly complex and creative. They take so much insight and imagination to create that it is utterly impressive that a human mind was able to come up with something so intricate and brilliant. And other theories are so dull and cliche that literally every single piece of media has it applied to it at one point or another. This theory is one of the latter. Some people believe that each and every Legend of Zelda game is a dream within a dream, and that every game just delves deeper into a sleeping Link's psyche. Cool, I guess. So, I feel like that's a really lazy, theory template to go on. When there's a lot of different events, when there's a complicated timeline, a lot of people just tend to hop to it was all a dream. Blah, 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 blah. Inception, Leonardo DiCaprio. I don't like that. I like that I feel like it's just a lazy, go-to, yeah, it was all a dream. That can explain everything. That's why everything happened. It was just a dream, blah, blah, blah. I feel like that's just lazy. So, moving over to that one because no. Next one. Ding dong, the wicked fae has passed. Oh, this might be one that Kate brought up in the last episode. This theory may delight some of the more cynical fans of this series. It states that Navi did not make it past the end of her respective game. Many people did not mind her adorable and repetitive attempts to help Link throughout his mission in Ocarina of Time, while others wanted to reach through their strings and give her the old fly swatter treatment. While fans of the latter method rejoice for this theory, it claims that her sudden disappearance was due to her short lifespan reaching its end. Yeah, me and Kate kind of... Hero? Oh, that was Kate Touch to me. She's basically saying that she's, doing some stuff and then on her way home. But yeah, me and Kate kind of touched on this in the last episode. Okay, leave me alone, wife that I love very much. Basically, we touched on this theory. We touched on this whole thing in the last episode. The fact that after Ocarina of Time, Navi just dies. And that explains why Link would be wandering around looking for her at the end of, or during the beginning of Majora's Mask, and then continue to look for her at the end of Majora's Mask and end up getting lost. And then, that's why he turns into the hero Shade that appears in Twilight Princess. So basically, people are saying that Navi died at the end of Ocarina of Time. And you know what? To me, that kind of makes a lot of sense. Because I made the joke in the last episode where the Deku Tree was just like, all right, Navi, thank you for getting the hero. Time to die. And Navi's just like, no, wait. Next theory. Same woods, different name. This theory claims that the Lost Woods and the Sacred Grove are the same location, just with different names due to shifting public perceptions over time. For those of you who don't know, the Lost Woods are a section of Hyrule which exists in a majority of the games within the series. In the briefest of summaries, these woods are impossible not to get lost in, or at the very least very difficult to navigate, and anyone who finds themselves lost for just a bit too long will find that they've been turned into a monster. And that is kind of alluded to in Ocarina of Time. Like there's a Kokiri kid who basically explains that anybody who gets lost in the Lost Woods is doomed to become like I forget what they're called, like a dart nut, or like basically people become a monster if they get lost in the Lost Woods for too long. And that definitely explains why Link, maybe it's because he has the spirit of the hero, but Link would get lost in the Lost Woods, eventually die, but kind of hold on to his hero aspect. That's why when he becomes a hero Shade, he appears as like a skeleton with like armor, like Hyrulean armor and stuff, but is still able to retain like the spirit of the hero and just be like, hey, other Link from other game, I'm gonna teach you a bunch of shit that you have to remember to defeat Ganondorf, blah blah, yada yada yada. Actually, that's the last theory on this list. Or no, it isn't. That was only 6. Where are the rest? Are you? You? They literally stop at 6. Like, you said 25 theories. You said 25 fan theories, and you only stop at 6. I am mad. I am mad. But, I might stop it there because I am starting to get tired and I don't want to do too much before I have a long weekend. But I'm going to cut the episode there. But my final thoughts on all these Zelda theories, they're definitely, like, none of these are, like, fact, except for the ones that are officially confirmed by Nintendo. A lot of these are just, like, really interesting things to think about. And I think that's what a lot of people don't exactly get about theories, like, especially when you look at, like, YouTube channels like Game Theory. A lot of people are like, oh, well, that's not true because this, and this. That's why they're theories, because they're not actual, like, fact, like, officially confirmed, like, this is, my word be all. They're fun things to think about, and they give possibly some explanation to certain things. But no, for me, theories are really fun to think about, and I don't know. I would call myself a game theorist, but that's just a theory. A game theory. Thanks for listening. But that's gonna be the end of episode for me. If you guys have a favorite Zelda fan theory, leave it on social medias. Tell me on social medias. Link is in the link tree in the description. Also, in the description, different places to listen to this podcast, and if you just want to find different social medias that I'm on, come see my average looking face on Instagram and follow me on Twitter, even though I don't do a whole lot on Twitter, except for, just hear people complain all the time and eventually see a boob or two. But anyway, do all those things, I do all those stuff. But I'm going to call the episode here. Stay safe out there. You guys are loved. This is a safe space for you all, and I want you guys to continually consider this a safe space. Except for my neighbors, who can go fuck off at the moment because they're choosing to step around. But no, seriously, this podcast is a safe space. I want you guys to feel really safe here. I want you guys to feel loved because you are loved, no matter your gender, no matter your sexuality. You guys are loved, and I'm here for you, Your local golden retriever gamer boy is here to support you. With that being said, I've been Cameron, and as always, we'll see you in the next one. Nerd out.